In the West, you fear the vampire for its hunger or the siren for her song. But in the East, there is a predator that combines the allure of Helen of Troy with the appetite of a cosmic horror. This is not the cute creature you see in anime. This is the Juehu, the nine-tailed fox, a being that doesn't just kill you, it wears your skin, seduces your leaders, and eats the destiny of entire nations. Before Karalma, before Ari, there was the original nightmare, Daji. To understand this monster, you must understand the rules of ascension. In ancient lore, a fox gains a new tail every 100 years. It learns to speak, to shapeshift, to mimic the cries of infants to lure travelers into the dark. But the goal isn't just survival, it is divinity. By the time it grows the 9th tail, its fur turns gold or white, and it gains the power of an oracle. However, some foxes choose a darker path. They realize that cultivation takes too long. Why meditate for centuries when you can steal the life essence of a king? The tragedy begins with a woman named Daji. She was a noble daughter, innocent and kind, traveling to the capital to marry King Zhou of the Shang dynasty. But she never arrived. En route, a 1,000-year-old fox spirit, vengeful and hungry, intercepted her carriage. It didn't just kill her. It hollowed her out. It slipped into her flesh like a hand into a glove. When the carriage arrived at the palace, the woman who stepped out looked like Daji, spoke like Daji, but inside, a beast was coiled around her soul, waiting to feed on the dragon throne. The fox knew that to destroy an empire, you don't attack the walls, you rot the foundation. Daji used her supernatural charm, a glamour more potent than any hypnosis, to enslave King Zhou. He was once a warrior king, strong and just. Under her influence, he became a puppet of debauchery. She isolated him, cutting off his advisors, turning his focus solely to her. It is the classic archetype of the femme fatale, but amplified by black magic. She wasn't just his lover. She was a parasite feeding on the mandate of heaven itself. The legends speak of the forest of meat and the lake of wine. While historians debate the literal truth, the metaphor describes a level of unspeakable excess that bankrupted the kingdom. They say they hung roasted meats from the trees so dense it blocked the sun, and filled palms with vintage wine until the fumes alone could intoxicate a man. It was a playground of hedonism, designed by the fox to distract the king while the country outside starved. It was a banquet of corruption, and the main course was the sanity of the monarch. But pleasure was not enough for the beast. It craved suffering. Daji is credited with inventing the paluro, the burning pillar, a bronze cylinder heated by charcoal until it glowed white hot. She would force those who dare to criticize the king to walk across it. When they inevitably fell into the fire below, she didn't look away. She laughed. This wasn't politics. It was a feeding ritual. The fox spirit fed on the negative energy, the fear, and the anguish of the dying. She turned the royal court into a slaughterhouse disguised as a palace. The heavens could no longer watch in silence. The legendary strategist and mystic Jiang Ziya descended from the mountains. He saw past the silk robes and the painted skin. He brought with him a divine mirror, an artifact capable of revealing the true form of any demon. When he confronted the queen, the reflection didn't show a beautiful woman. It showed a snarling, nine-tailed monstrosity. The spell over the court began to crack. The people rose up, armies marched, and the Shang dynasty began to burn. Not from the fox's fire, but from the fires of revolution. The end of Daji is the most telling part of her legend. When the rebels finally captured her, they ordered her execution. But as the headsman raised his axe, Daji simply looked at him. She smiled. Her charm was so potent, so biologically overwhelming, that the executioner dropped his weapon, paralyzed by her beauty even as she stood in chains. No mortal man could strike her down. It took Jianxia, acting through a magical artifact, a flying blade, or a spell, depending on the text, to finally sever the head of the beast and reveal the fox corpse left behind. But spirits are hard to kill. Legend says her essence escaped, fleeing east to India and eventually to Japan, becoming Tamamo no Mei, another courtesan who nearly destroyed an emperor. The nine-tailed fox remains one of the most enduring icons of Eastern mythology. Today, we see her in video games and anime, often softened and tamed. But the original nine-tailed fox remains in the shadows of history, a warning etched in jade. She reminds us that the greatest threats aren't the monsters with claws, but the ones with the most captivating smiles. What if she's still here, walking among us, waiting for the next empire to grow too proud, too comfortable, and too hungry for a beauty that isn't meant for mortal eyes?